Hey guys, it's Coach Matt with Lifelong Recovery. So I wanted to make a quick video today, being that it's Thanksgiving, of how to deal with holidays when you're in recovery, especially when you're new in recovery. Holidays for people in recovery can be a difficult, trying time for many different reasons. There can be lots of cravings, there can be feelings of remorse, shame that pop up. So, like a number of different things. It just can be a really weird, lonely, remorseful time for people in recovery. So that's the first thing I want to say is being in a funk is normal on holidays. So I'll tell you guys, I woke up this morning and it's been 15 years that I've been clean and sober, but I just felt in a funk. There's just a weird feeling that comes up for me during holidays. And I've talked to a lot of people who are in recovery who have struggled with addiction, and they have this same kind of strange feeling. So that's the first thing. Being in a funk is normal. So don't freak out if you find yourself, woke up today and then with the rest of the holidays coming, you just find on those days that you just feel kind of weird. So for me, what I think the feeling comes from is I reminisce almost subconsciously. I reminisce about neglect that happened in my family, the way that I neglected my family as a result of the addiction. So missing family events, being there for family because the addiction always came first, right? I had to serve the master, so to speak. So I had to be drunk or high first and foremost. So there was times where I got more drunk than I anticipated, so I couldn't show up to family functions. So I would tell them some bullshit about being sick or whatever. So I think for me, that's the biggest thing of it is I think those feelings of neglect, that shame of neglecting my family in my addiction rises up during those times on holidays. Another reason that people struggle and just kind of have this feeling of being in a funk is you may have not had the proper support from their family in the first place. So it makes sense. They see these images of people of these happy families celebrating, eating together on Thanksgiving, celebrating Christmas. And if your needs weren't met as a child, if you didn't have that support, then obviously these feelings of that just sadness, that despair, that it can obviously rise up during these times. It's very apparent during these times. So it can be a big struggle for a lot of people. The other thing I would say that probably the third reason that people kind of feel in a funk on holidays is that they may feel like they don't belong. So if they're in recovery, it just is what it is, guys. If I can't drink or use, especially if I can't drink, right? But I'm in recovery, I can't drink alcohol. Holidays, it's big drinking days. It doesn't even matter what holiday it is. Drinking on holidays is obviously very common. So this feeling of being different, alienated, don't belong, that's very common on holidays. So there's a few things that we can do to just make ourselves feel more comfortable to prepare. Big thing is the biggest danger in these feelings is that it can cause relapse. The biggest reason that I drink or use is to change the way that I feel. So if I'm having these feelings of shame crop up, if I'm having these feelings of being neglected crop up, if I'm having these feelings of alienation or not belonging, not fitting in, being different, whatever, then that's the biggest danger is the drinking or using to get rid of these feelings. And a lot of times the kind of crazy thing about this is these feelings are subconscious. So I may not be acutely aware of having these feelings. I may just know that I feel in a funk. I just feel off today. I feel weird, depressed, whatever, right? I'm craving a lot today. This is the thing is we holidays, we really need to safeguard, right? We need to be vigilant and make sure that we're not giving in to these cravings and just feeling good. Obviously, you don't want to feel bad on holidays, right? So here's some things that we can do. So the first thing I would say is make sure that you talk to safe people you care about and who care about you on holidays. And I want to emphasize the word safe. So what I mean by that is people that are supportive of your recovery, people who are not going to try to get you to drink or use, right? So there's people that I cared about that cared about me, but they weren't necessarily informed about recovery and respectful of my recovery. So we got to make sure that they're safe people. If that's friends, if that's family, if that's people from a support group, if it's people from church or whatever, but just make sure you're talking to good people who you can maybe vent some of these feelings with on holidays to get you in a better mindset. The next thing I would say is if you belong to a support group, it's a really good idea to find a meeting on those days. So if you're in a 12-step support group or some other kind of recovery support group, if you're in some kind of church group, see if you can meet with these people on this day, because this is going to be extremely helpful in getting out of that funk. Basically, we need to do something to redirect the path that our brain is going down, because it's just going to typically go down this negative place. So we need to redirect that in some way. The next thing I would say is make sure your boundaries are airtight on holidays. So a lot of people relapse on holidays, guys. It's almost this perfect recipe for holidays. It makes sense because if I'm feeling these negative types of feelings and I'm around people that are especially alcohol, right, that are drinking, it just makes this perfect recipe for relapse. So make sure your boundaries are airtight on holidays. Set your boundaries prior to visiting friends and family. So if my boundary is that I am not drinking alcohol, I'm clean and sober, I'm not drinking any kind of alcohol, I'm not using any kind of substance, and even maybe I don't want to be around it. Maybe in early recovery, I really struggled just being around it. So it was this weird kind of area for me. So whatever your boundary is, make sure it's airtight. You establish your boundary and then stick to it. So I would say set your boundaries prior to visiting friends and family, and then make sure they know those boundaries, right? So if your boundary is I can't be around any alcohol, then make sure they know that, right? And if they don't respect it, then maybe you need to sit this one out. I'm not saying you have to, but best, right? What's best for you as far as if you can be around it or not. Make sure they know not to offer you a drink. That's another huge one, right? And there's a couple things that we can do if you find yourself in a situation where people are offering you alcohol on holidays. Probably the best thing to do, there's a couple strategies. Change the subject, or there's a thing that they call the broken record technique, where you're just repeating yourself. No, I'm not drinking. No, I can't drink. No, I don't want to drink today. Whatever it is, but just do not waver from your decision. Do not waver from your boundary. Make sure that you've made that decision and you're sticking to it. Guys, so I'm going to make a part 2 to this video. So thank you for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you in part 2. Thanks.